Hi, everybody, and welcome to TV3 and our Spartan Sports Report for this week. Bret Duncan joins us. Hi, Brent.
Hey, thanks, Fran.
Sam, I know you're happy to see Brent.
I'm always happy to see Brent.
It's a good
Brent,
day.
Athletic Director at CHS. Busy time in the year. Fall sports just about over, and the winter sports about to kick in.
Yeah, it's actually hard to think that we're talking about winter sports here.
Yes.
Girls basketball practice tryouts are actually starting today, so it's unusual. But for us, we got a couple kids left in cross country, and football's getting ready to open sectional this coming week.
The girls basketball will have how many weeks in of tryouts?
Well, the first game's 3 weeks from Thursday.
Okay.
Last Thursday, wasn't it?
Right around
3
the
weeks
corner.
from last.
2 weeks from Thursday.
I was thinking it was 17 days out.
Yep, 2 weeks from Thursday, November 2nd.
And they'll be on the road?
Be at New Pal. I was talking to their AD that day. He says, I can't remember what I asked him. I said, well, congratulations. They beat us in the girls soccer sectional semifinals, and they went on to win the sectional. And he said, see you in 2 weeks. It's just hard to think you're talking wintertime at the end of October already. So
Now, prior to that, you'll have a scrimmage.
yeah, Union County. We'll scrimmage them like normal.
The Spartan
So
Bowl on Saturday, the 28th.
the Saturday right before the opening game. So
Okay. It is close. Sam,
Right
I know
around
you're
the
anxious
corner.
to see.
Oh,
the
I'm
Lady
anxious.
Spartans.
Always anxious to see the Lady Spartans, and I think that we should see some improvement. The girls. Coach played a lot of young girls the last 2 years, and most of his nucleus that's back will be juniors, and I'm sure they're stronger and have improved over the summer months, and ought to be a lot of fun.
We'll soon know. It should be an interesting season. You'll have a sectional beginning in late January, a girls sectional.
yeah, I'll get to host this year. So that'll be a new thing. It's been a while. It's probably been 5 years ago, probably, that we last hosted a sectional there. So we're anxious to host it. So.
So there for a while, you're getting a boys Class 2A sectional.
Yeah, well, we had the
Basketball.
2A regional for the
Regional,
4 or 5
yes.
years, and you know, if you went to the first one, it was kind of 3 local sectionals and 1 Western sectional. I'll just put it that way. And then it ended up being 3 teams from the West and 1 from here, so it got to be a little bit of
Yes.
travel issue. So we kind of lost them. But we've always told them we'd be happy to host if they need us to host again. So
It's one of the great gymnasiums in Indiana.
it was amazing the number that sit empty on that regional round, so and the semi-state round. But somebody's going to sit empty. But hopefully someday we'll have it full again.
Hope so. This week, today, the junior varsity football team is at Batesville. And Thursday, I have the freshman football team in action at Batesville. So we have a freshman team. A little
JV is actually home tonight with Batesville.
Oh, okay.
And then we postponed all of our freshman teams this year, so we don't have a game on
Okay,
Thursday.
I didn't know if you were able to toward the end of the season.
No, just number-wise. Time we play them all, the little bit that play in the Friday night game, and then they get to 4 quarters in the day, they won't have any quarters left by Thursday. So we'll be out of 5-quarter rule. So
Excuse me, when you talk about that quarter rule, that is from what day to what day?
Friday to Thursday. So varsity game starts the week. Freshman
Okay.
games are normally on Thursday or so, and that ends the week.
And they're allowed 5
quarters in a
5
week.
quarters.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excuse me for interrupting.
No, it's
That's
quite
okay.
all right. That's
But
all
if they
right.
play on a special team, that doesn't necessarily count as a quarter. It's got to be an actual play. So you can play on all the special teams and not lose a quarter. But if you get in for 1 down in the contest, it's a quarter.
So the action Monday night, it is junior varsity hosting Batesville, and Mooresville comes to town for a varsity game on Friday night.
Friday night, first opening round of sectional. And Adam and I were just joking last week. He's been here 6 years, and you know all the ping pong balls come out of the hopper, and we've hosted for 6 straight years the opening round. So you'd think at some point in time that ball's going to fall on the other side of the bend, but it hasn't yet. So, but we're all right.
It's good for us.
First night we don't have to travel. We get a little extra concession money, and
Sounds like you guys ought to join the lottery or something if you get that kind of luck.
I wish I had that kind of luck.
A little bit about Mooresville and tickets and so on. Game time is 7 o'clock. What's the setup?
Well, we've all kind of agreed the last 4 or 5 years that you just kind of run it like a regular home game. So we'll open the gates at 6. Ticket prices are $6 each. That's the IHSA set. Obviously, your all-sport tickets do not work at the IHSA section,
Right.
so everybody has to buy a ticket that comes through the door. Game time will be 7, so Mooresville will probably be here about 5:15, and we'll get things rolling just like we do on a normal Friday night here at Connersville on the football game night.
Okay, the Spartans and Mooresville here. At Richmond, it's Newcastle and Richmond, I believe.
Yes.
And then the winners of those 2 games do what?
Well, no matter what, after we win on Friday night, we'll have to travel. It's always, we're the
Okay.
home team of the top bracket. Richmond's the home team of the bottom bracket.
see.
So if Richmond wins, we've both hosted, then you go with the bottom bracket. So we would go to Richmond. If Newcastle wins, they've not hosted. So if one's hosted and the other one hasn't hosted, then you go to the team that hasn't hosted yet.
Okay.
We won't go through all the scenarios to get the championship game here, but
Okay, so that's round 2, and that'll be October 27th.
correct.
And we hope the Spartans are there.
We do. It'd be good for us. I think we got an opportunity to be there. I know Morrisville's 1-8, but they also play some really good competition. I think at one time I looked, their first 5 opponents had either lost 0 games, 1 game, or 2 games. I don't know if that still holds true to this day, but it's been a couple weeks since I went back and looked. But it'll be a good ball game.
Certainly home field advantage is good for us, and a big crowd. I think the weather's supposed to be nice the rest of the week, so it'll be great to have as many people out there as we can.
Yeah, it just seems like, when you have the sectional, some of our normal patrons don't come because they have to pay that additional $6, but it's also good for our kids that we don't have to get on a bus and drive an hour and a half to get to Mooresville and get out of school and then get stiff sitting on the bus, and they can get their normal routine at home, and that's a good thing for us.
You mentioned that you treat it like a regular season home game. Band and cheerleaders and Spartanettes, all that.
They're all allowed to be there. Band is not coming. I don't know if a lot of them are going on fall break or whatever, so I assume the Spartanettes are still dancing. Last I knew they were dancing, and the cheerleaders will be there, so
Okay.
everything else will be like normal.
Spartans 4-5. Mooresville is 1-8 on the season. Mooresville beat Beech Grove 17-12 in their last ball game Friday. Their losses have been to Lebanon, to Danville, Plainfield, to Greenwood, Decatur Central, Franklin, Whiteland, and Martinsville, and their biggest loss was 61-7 to Decatur Central. So they played some pretty good games.
Yeah, it's a good competition in that area because, you get to the suburbs of Indianapolis, there's always going to be a lot of good quality teams around there, no matter what the records are. They're
That's
still
right.
playing some good competition with big size numbers. So,
And it seems that they like to pass quite a bit. In fact, they've picked up 2,284 yards in passing. I was wondering if we can make a Spartan Stadium a no-fly zone Friday.
well, we got what's his name, Khalib from Denver coming in the no-fly zone, but it'll be interesting. We've struggled a little bit with the pass over the course of the year, so hopefully Adam's working on the game plan today with the kids. I'm sure he's seen tape because he sent me some huddle videos. I just didn't watch them, but I'm included in all those exchanges that they make. But if you've been to some of our games, like I said, we've struggled a little bit sometimes against the pass, but then maybe this week if we can focus on the pass and they don't have a strong running game, maybe that'll make a little bit of difference for us.
Sam, it sounded like Friday night at Batesville, footballs were flying, especially for
They were.
Batesville.
Their quarterback, Hidley, is just amazing.
As advertised, I guess.
Yes, and we had seen him last year, and I think we get to see him again next year. But tremendous player. I couldn't hear through my headphones, but he broke some kind of record the other night, I thought they said. That,
Yeah, he broke something, and I
And the
think the
McLeod
running
kid.
back broke the single-season scoring record, and so.
So they're fine. They were a fine football team, but they used no huddle offense, and we had to be ready. We had to get up to the line and be there and be ready. And they're just really good, better than I had anticipated. And I guess after they had beaten Franklin County the week before, I knew that it was going to be hard for the Spartans, but Spartans come out and played, never gave up. That's one thing about this team all season long. Through adversity, they still continue to play hard. But when you're down 47 points, it makes it difficult. So
47-7 was the final. The Spartans really made some mistakes that cost them.
And that's kind of what we've seen in the games that they have struggled in, that turning the ball over has hurt them as much as anything this season.
And falling behind, that makes it even harder to catch up.
Yeah, we don't throw the ball a lot. We can throw it, but when we put the ball on the ground a few times, and when we're driving, we've had the ball on the ground, or we turn it over and it's a short field for the other team. That puts your defense on the stand. And we've done a good job of platooning where we got rested guys, but when your defense is out there a lot during the night, they're still going to get worn out.
Sure.
So.
Sure. We might talk, Brent, about what happened Saturday at Rushville, a cross-country team was in.
Yeah, we had our boys' whole team was there. They take the top 5 teams to get out. We didn't get in the top 5, but Wes Smith was able to advance as an individual to the Shelbyville Semi-State coming this Saturday.
Good.
I believe he finished 22nd. They take 10 individuals that are not on the 5 qualifying teams, and I think he actually got the 10th spot. So it's hard to think, because normally in the top 22, your 5 teams that qualify have an abundance of runner in those top spots, but there were at least 10 individuals, only 12 kids from the teams up there, so you know how spread out it was. And I know the 2 little freshman boys from Seton Catholic got out, the Stam family, but and then the girls, Talissa Beckner got out.
Yes.
She finished 16th overall, and 16th or 17th, I think 17th overall in the girls' race. And then I think, unfortunately, Caroline Arndt missed it by 1 spot of being in the 10 they got to go. So I think she kind of got nudged at the line, and that 1 spot was the spot. So, and I don't think the kids know that when they're running, because there's so many kids out there. And I just know that, you know, we're standing there at the finish line, and the little girl from Seton Catholic won. I think it's her 3rd or 4th consecutive sectional that she's won, or regional that she's won. And then the next 3 were all from Franklin Central, 2, 3, 4. In fact, they had their top 7 in the first 16 people that crossed the finish line. So they were dominant in the girls' race. So, but we got Tylissa going to the semi-state at Shelbyville, and Wes Smith going to semi-state at Shelbyville this coming Saturday. Boys races at 10:30, and the girls races at 11:15. So
I wish them good luck.
Somebody will be there watching them run. So.
They'll represent the Spartans real well, I know. Volleyball team, what happened?
You know, we played Pendleton Heights about a week and a half ago, and they beat us 3-1. And we had a good start with, and kind of got a little run against us when we lost the first game. I want to say it was 25-17, and then in the next 2 games we just never got untracked and got beat 3-0 to unfortunately end our season. And the only thing we have left now is the 2 kids and the football team. So.
Volleyball team, though, has done well.
Yeah, I think they made a lot of steps over the course of the year. You know, we have a new coach and Coach Whitmore, and changing of the, I don't want to say the culture of the team was bad, but just changing the culture of the way things are done, because you got a new coach. It always changes the system a little bit, and it's getting the buy-in by the girls to accept the new system and be a part of it. You know, I think we had the same thing when Coach Brown took over coaching basketball. We had a change in culture, and you lose a few kids along the way because they don't like the new way, or they don't, whichever, but I think in the long run she'll stick around. We'll have a pretty good volleyball team. She does a good job, and I think most of the girls like her. You know, you're not everybody going to like her at all, but that's just the way it works sometimes. But
I welcomed her to one of our programs, and I was very impressed.
I was impressed with her. Yes.
We've had a couple compliments from other athletic directors on her knowledge and the way she carries herself and the way she treats the girls, and so those are always positives to hear. So
I always tell kids that you may not like the coach, but you know, you only have 4 years of eligibility, and make the best of it, and go out and try and work hard at it.
Well, I think if you love the sport, you play no matter what. I mean, we all have had coaches that we didn't get along with or didn't like, and then if you're on the edge, then you just got to work harder to get yourself more playing time. You know, it's not dictated by your age, it's not dictated by your grade, it's ability level now anymore. And when you and I played, you were a freshman, you were pretty much on the freshman team. That's just the way it worked. It doesn't seem to be that way anymore. So.
And your attitude could change if you give it a try.
Well, yeah, I don't. You know, that's the. And I don't know if that comes from coaches, yourself, your internal motivation of what drives you to be better. You know, some of us are just way much more competitive than other people, and losing isn't an option in some of our books. But you know, and some kids are out there for different reasons. But if you really want to play and you want to be a part of it, you're gonna have to put some time in and make your skills better and understand how to accept a role and be a part of a team, especially when it's a team sport. So
yes.
But I think we'll get there. I think they did a good job the first year. I saw improvement as the year went along, and I think talked to some of the underclassmen. They're all excited about coming back, and so that's a good thing.
I think you could be real happy with your coaches you've chosen over the years.
Yeah, I can't say we've had any what I consider just bad coaches. You know, we've had some we've had to move along and change and switch, and that happens in every aspect of sports. So I hope in the Lord we'll have a goal in mind as what we want to do as an athletic department. So hopefully we're creeping towards that goal. So
do you work with the school board in selecting coaches? Is there a committee, or do you make the decision, or what does that happen?
Well, it depends on the sport.
Okay.
So some of the major sports, like with football, girls basketball, and boys basketball, a lot of times there's a committee that picks them. So some of what the other sports are is just down to people who apply, and then we interview them, and then we select what we think is the best choice for our kids. So, with their approval, I mean, everything has to run through the school board. I can recommend somebody along with Mr. Judd, and then we send it to them, and they may say yes or say no. So if it's yes, we're good, and if no, we go back to the drawing board. But that's how it works. So.
In other area of football, Franklin County, they lost to Harrison, Ohio, 56-20 as they prepare for the sectional. Rushville lost to Greensburg, 43-20. Union County won at Tri, 46-40. That went into overtime. Union County, as I mentioned, won at Tri. Centerville won at Winchester, 35-14. Cambridge City lost to Hagerstown, 39-0. Richmond lost to Harrison of West Lafayette, 62-7. Might run through the pairings for these area teams. The Spartans, of course, meeting Mooresville on Friday night. Franklin County is 5-4 in the season. They play at Jennings County, is 2-7. Rushville 0-9 plays at Indianapolis Ritter. That is 7-2. Union County 5-4 on their season. They meet Indianapolis Scecina. That's 8-1. That game will be at Liberty. Centerville 7-2 is home to Eastern Hancock. 5-4 is Eastern Hancock. Cambridge City 1-8 plays at Indianapolis Lutheran. That's 7-2. Lutheran is. And Richmond 0-9 meets Newcastle. 5-4 is the Trojans' record, and that game will be at Richmond. So those are the pairings coming up. It should be an interesting Friday night.
Well, anytime you start the tournament,
yes,
you never know what's going to happen. So you kind of watch the NFL a lot, and you wouldn't have ever thought that the Jets would have beat the Patriots yesterday, or who was 0-5 and ended up winning at the end last night. So you just never know when you throw the records out when it's a one and done. It just takes that one bad night to be your bad night, and then you could be on the short end of the stick. So hopefully we'll all come prepared.
Interesting the way some of those pairings are, that Indianapolis teams and teams from the eastern part of the state, several of them there in competition with each other.
Yes.
And, you know, one of ours, I guess we're lucky that we do get to host, because Mooresville is quite a trip from here. But, you know, they do what they need to do, and it's just the way it is. And I think especially, and in football, we've always had class sports, but in class sports, it seems to, especially in these opening rounds, spread things out much more than some of us old timers are used to.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, when they do the pairings, they start in one corner of the state and they just start working their way to the middle, to the south, and then you start spreading them out a little bit. So,
you know, it was interesting though. We're playing a whole different set of teams in sectional than what we've done the last several years, and I don't know what really changed that we moved up into more of a northern group than.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just where they start, because they start in different corners, or because of the success factor. Some of them in our area have, you know, moved to different classes. You know, like Columbus East used to be 4A. I'm sure they're playing in 5A right now because of all their success. And if they keep winning, they're going to be in 6A no matter what they do. So it may just be based on the logistics of where we're all at and where all the success factors come into play. So it was a little different, not playing the normal group that we were playing. So but we'll see.
Makes for an interesting.
I think it's true in all sports. You look at girls soccer, we had Shelbyville and New Pal and Beech Grove and teams we don't normally play. So it'll be the same when we get to softball and baseball.
It used to be in those sports, it would seem that when there wasn't as much change and there wasn't success factor, that coaches tried to schedule teams that they would play in tournament, but it's much harder to do that now.
Oh yeah, quite a bit. We'll just go, so we're headed to basketball. Coach Brown and I have been talking. We got a couple of contracts that are up at the end of this year, so we've been looking. You know, we played him Indianapolis Manual last year. We're going to play him this year. And you know, with the public schools in Indy right now, you never know what's going to happen. So we're looking for other public schools if we need to. Who can we play in a year from now? Or you know, Centerville's going off after this year, and Lawrence North is coming on, and then we got to replace.
That's a big difference.
We're going to probably replace one other school, and we're looking at Southport or Lawrence Central or Warren Central, just for the Coach Brown's wants to play the suburban schools of Indy, because that's who sometimes we face in round number 2 of the second or the regional round. So, but to pick a conference on your normal schedule when you had an 8-team sectional, you'd always put those 7 on there just so you got a chance to play them sometime during the year. It gets a little harder when the classes keep changing every 2 years. So.
Right.
We talked about winter sports a little bit earlier, the girls and everything. We might mention what's going on at Connersville Middle School, because I know these feed into the high school, and you're always anxious for those people to have good luck there. It'll begin on November the 9th when the boys' white basketball team opens its season meeting Randolph Southern, and the red boys team will be opening November the 16th, and they'll be meeting Union County. The other winter sport, wrestling, begins not until January the 25th against South Dearborn, and the middle school's girls' basketball teams, their season also is in January and February.
It's kind of backwards because, you know, the high school girls start now, but the middle school girls, they don't start till later. So I've always wondered why that is. So probably because it's been that way forever, and now it's too hard to change it, is probably what I'm guessing. So, but, yeah, it's always good to have them going, you know. And, of course, their swimming, which is a winter sport for us, is already taking place in the fall. So now they're into their club swimming cast. So, yes. But it's always anxious to see, because at that level, you just don't know who's going to develop. You know, the littlest kid could be the biggest kid in 3 years, and the biggest kid could be the shortest kid in 3 years. So I know our coaches do a good job of trying to tell our middle school coaches to teach them all the sports and all the different positions, because you don't know who's going to be around in 2 years, or who's going to grow, who's going to stay the same size. So hopefully their skill level is good, and no matter what position they're in, that they can be a basketball player or be a wrestler, no matter what their weight happens to be. Because, you know, wrestlers aren't going to stay 75 pounds. They're going to grow as they get older. So you just don't know how big that's going to be sometimes.
The red, the red and white teams. Would you talk about that a little bit?
Sometimes they say the red team is the kids that they feel are a little more advanced at that level, and the white team are the kids that are still looking at, that are either still developing skill or still not sure where their abilities lie. So it'd be nice if we could have 2 equal teams, but that doesn't always work out that way. So, but that's kind of how they done that in the past.
Now, are they limited on the number that they can have on the team? Or
no, not really, but they try to. I would say both teams will carry about 12, anywhere from 12 to 15 kids. I won't know exactly, but typically 12 is quite a bit to have on one team. So it's hard to get 12 kids into a red game or 12 kids into a white game. I know a lot of schools have gone to one team with like 18 kids and tried to play an A and a B schedule. Sometimes that's a little more efficient, because the kids who don't play an A game, obviously, are going to play in the night in that B game. So, but everybody's a little different. So.
And kids, just because they may be on the white team, doesn't mean we've had some very good varsity players that played on the white team when they were in middle school. Is the point I'm trying to make. But.
Yeah, and I'll go back, and I don't like to throw names out, but Todd Barrett, he graduated in the 2000s sometime, probably. I don't know exactly what year he graduated, and he's a lawyer now. So, but anyway. He was on the 7th grade white team. He was on the 8th grade white team. He was on the freshman B team. He was on the JV team as a junior. Sophomore, he was on the JV team as a junior. And by the time he was a senior, he was the only kid left in that class that was still playing basketball. And he turned out to be a pretty good little point guard by the time he was a senior. But it just took him a little while to get physically a little stronger, a little bigger. But he was pretty aggressive when he was playing. But of all those kids who were ahead of him as a 7th grader, he was the only senior on that team that year. Because you never know what happens to him as they go along. So they find different interests. Things happen. They move away, get hurt. So get disgruntled. I don't know. Just different things happen. So
should be interesting. And the conference in basketball, Spartans, of course, have won it for a couple of years.
3 years.
And shared it with Greensburg one year. So it's quite a record.
Yeah, I think, not to jinx us, I think we've won 20 straight. And probably should have been 21, but that's the night Bo got hurt at Rushville and got beat by 3 in overtime as a sophomore. So, you know, just things didn't fall in the right way. But, yeah, you know, Stacy does a really good job at Greensburg, and they're always going to be strong, and they're well coached. And
Dave down at East
Central, a lot like Kerry in the way he does things.
Yes.
So, you know, their program's always solid. South Dearborn's been up and down a little bit lately. Batesville's consistently solid. They've had better years than others, but their coach does a good job of knowing how to control a game and trying to, as you went to the Spartan Bowl last year, saw he made it into an ugly basketball game and kept his team right in it. And we've been on that side of the seat making it into an ugly basketball game to keep our kids in the right game. So it's always a good little conference. I think people they sell us short in not only the football conference, but basketball conferences. It's a good little conference to be in.
Yes.
So I know It's not the old days of the South Central or the Olympic, but those have all changed dynamics as well over the course of the years. And some of the powerhouses in those conferences are no longer big powerhouses anymore. You know, Marion was dominant for years, and Richmond, and they've kind of fluttered up and down a little bit the last few years. So,
you know, and you look at in the IAC, a couple of area teams, Rushville and Franklin County, terrific rivals that we've had, whether we've played them in conference or not. So you can, the old cliche about throwing the records out, I think anytime we play Rushville or Franklin County, and in most any sport, that it's for more than conference. It's for community pride.
oh, you know, I was at the Rushville football game and just happened to be walking back from the concession stand, walking with a parent of one of our football kids, and they happened to work in Rushville, and all they could say is, "We have to win tonight, so I can have a little bit of bragging rights, because I'm the only Connersville person in this building. So I'm wearing my Spartan stuff, and they're not. So I have to win." So, but I agree with you. It's the same with Newcastle and Richmond. You can throw the records out. So,
Yes.
good little conference, good rivals for us naturally from location.
And of course, our rivalry with Union County. Now, we've dominated that over the years, but they showed us a few years ago that they could beat us. And
Yeah, Detweiler did some good jobs up there with the kids that are coming through. It'd be interesting to see what the new coach does, and then, of course, we're going to see Detweiler come.
we just delay it a few days.
Just over in a Delta Eagle position instead of a Union County Patriot position. So I'm sure he'll do a good job at Delta, just as he did at Union County. So
And he'll come in knowing what we do, because he's
yeah, it won't be any foreign thing to him.
No.
The kids might be a little different coming to the
Right.
bowl, but he'll know what to expect and what's going to happen. So
You know anything about the coach at Union County that they had?
I do not. So
No, it's his first year over there, of course, and I'm not sure if he has any coaching experience, varsity or not.
I can't.
Maybe one
I do not know that.
but
I
they'll
think
come.
he was promoted from within, I believe, but
Oh, was
I could
he?
be wrong about
I
that.
can't even think of his name off the top of my
I
head.
can't either.
So,
They come to Connersville November 22nd, open the season.
yeah.
Then, as you mentioned, Delta comes on Saturday night, I believe, right after Thanksgiving.
Yep. We hadn't played on the Saturday after Thanksgiving for a couple of years. So, but with losing Ballard off our schedule, and we moved Newcastle from a weeknight game to a weekend game, we just
good.
had to find a spot to get another game in, and that's the only night we were both open. So I know Coach Brown likes to play on that Wednesday night and then take the next weekend for practice purposes after watching Wednesday night before the next weekend's game. But we'll be all right. It's just hard to have that Thanksgiving break, and then you get Turkey Day on Friday to run it off of them, and then you're going to try to play on Saturday. So, but wouldn't be the first time we've practiced on Thanksgiving before. I know I did when I was assistant coach. We had a couple of Thanksgiving morning practices. So,
And I believe first 4 games are home games. Am I correct with that?
I believe so. South Dearborn and Rushville were both on the road last year, and Delta's now at home. And I think we have 12 home games this year.
Yes,
8
that's
on the
good.
road and 12. I think it's good. You know, not to just talk about the boys, but girls are balanced, 9-9 or 10-10 at home, and they're in a tournament at Rumble on the River. But I think there's some of our kids that could be young on our basketball team, just based on my own personal gut feeling. So it's always good to have a lot of home games when you're young, which means 2 years from now we'll have a lot of home games when some of them are older. So,
Well, graduation took a lot of basketball players.
yeah, it took 5 of them out,
Yes.
you know, and kudos to all them. They all bought into Coach's system, and you could see the improvement over the 4 years in all of them. And I know some of them played a lot more than others, and some of them didn't get to play as much, but I think the ones who didn't get to play as much understood their role and how important they were to the
Yes.
team. And they all, as I used to say when I coach, you're either buying or selling. You've either bought into the program or you're selling your program out. So there's no way to walk in the middle. So,
And they can always say we were back-to-back sectional champions. We were three-peat in EIAC, and so you can't ever take it away from them whether they played much or not. They were
Nope.
part of that team and helped practice night in and night out.
20 years from now, nobody will remember but them and their parents and their friends. So if they played or didn't play.
Brent, it's always been a pleasure to have you join us here on the program. Thank you.
Glad to be here anytime.
Bret Duncan's been our host, everybody, and thanks for watching the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3.